Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing well as usual. So, contrary to what I thought, I'm back with another video before the end of the year. I remember saying there might be one, but I wasn't sure. But I have decided to do one due to circumstances. Just recently I was traveling in Europe. I visited Slovakia, which is, for the first time actually, which is an amazing country. So if you really like Eastern Europe and Central Europe and you haven't visited Slovakia, I'd recommend it. But long story short, at the very end of the trip, I flew back from Vienna, Austria, so I had to hang around that city for like 31 hours, yeah, and the weather there was extremely bleak, like very cold, wet and miserable, not in a good way. And actually I came down with something, so when I came back just before Christmas, I think I came down with a cold, and I'm still slowly recovering from that, so I'm a bit zapped of energy, and so I've been hanging around the house today. But I thought, I know I need to take it easy, but it's left me with not a damn thing to do. I can't exercise or anything, so I thought I might as well make another video because I've got the time to kill, and I would also like to keep the channel going. So this is a video I've been planning to do for a while. This is Hard Rock Heavy Metal Vinyl Volume 9, I think. So this is just the series in which I show my Hard Rock Heavy Metal Vinyl in alphabetical order. And if you have been watching for a while, you'll know that the one I did last time was my Judas Priest vinyl collection, you know, talking about hard rock heavy metal. So today we're up to the letter K, so you can imagine probably what's coming. I'm going to show 5 vinyls in this video and then stop, and more on that later. I'm just going to say I'm not going to talk about the music in much detail, and I'll give the reasons why later. But essentially, all of these albums I'm showing today, I've talked about before, but mostly in CD format, so I don't need to repeat myself. This is more like a show and tell, but yes, if you like hard rock and heavy metal, hopefully you enjoy this video. All right, so up first, I'm showing KEEL with The Final Frontier. So I did show this in a collection update about a year and a half ago, I think. So again, I don't need to go into a lot of detail. But if you're not familiar, KEEL was a hard rock heavy metal band from US and I think California. Sorry, I've done zero preparation for this video. So fronted by guitarist, vocalist, and keyboardist Ron Keel. Yeah, so yeah, some people might say egotistical naming the band after him, but he did write most of the music and performed a substantial chunk of it. But yes, this was a band that I just randomly discovered because I saw this secondhand at a record shop in Bangkok, and I thought, I've never heard Keel, and then I watched the Metal School episode about this band, got to discover them more, and when I listened to this album on YouTube, I really liked the song Because the Night, which is of course cover of a song written by Bruce Springsteen for the Patti Smith band, I believe, but I thought that song was excellent, so that's what reeled me into this band. But yeah, you could say this is 80s hair metal, and I know hair metal these days has a derogatory connotation, but I think not really. It's sort of specifically referring to this niche of bands in the 80s that were playing. It wasn't like traditional heavy metal, it wasn't thrash metal. You know, it was more that sunset strip sound, and it was mostly done by American bands, but there were some exceptions like Hanoi Rocks and Whitesnake and so on. But yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. You all know what hair metal is, but if you like your hard rock and hair metal, definitely check this out. I love this album, so good. And I should mention this as well. This band was produced by Gene Simmons of Kiss. So say what you want about Gene as a person, but I think he had a really good eye for musical talent and is a great musician himself. So KEEL was no exception to that talent, and I think actually on one of their albums, KEEL recorded a song that was supposed to be on Kiss's Lick It Up, so Kiss fans will probably really like this as well, as I do. But yeah, really good stuff. You know, it's got all those elements of hair metal, big sing-along choruses, raunchy rocking riffs, pounding drums, good guitar solos, and excellent backing vocals. So yeah, like I said, I've spoken about this album before, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but just looking here, like that, so it starts off with The Final Frontier, good song. Rock and Roll Animal is very catchy, and like I said, the song Because the Night, the cover of the Bruce Springsteen song, is just fucking awesome. That's what reeled me into this band, and it's still my favorite song by them. Here Today, Come Tomorrow, and Arm and a Leg, like all just really catchy sing-along choruses, which are great. And sorry, see this OB strip here? It's actually obscuring the song titles on the other side, so I'll see, I think Raised on Rock, Just Another Girl, Tears of Fire. So on the second album, on the second side of the album, it gets a bit more experimental with sort of like folky stuff and ballads and everything, but it's still really good. And yeah, I can't read the last 2 tracks, sorry, but just trust me, the whole album is really good. So just show you the cover here. So this is showing every band member on the back, and you can see this is a Japanese pressing. I bought it in Bangkok. It's a pretty beaten up copy, but it's the music that counts to me. So I don't know if there's anything all that interesting inside. It's been a long time since I've shown this. Oh yeah, so you've just got the inner sheet here, the insert with all of the lyrics translated into Japanese. And oh yeah, kind of cool. Nice little colored poster there, which is really an insert, and then all of the lyrics in English. And I'll just show you this. I won't take it out because it's going to be too much messing around. But yeah, just plain black vinyl on Gold Mountains records. And despite being secondhand, the shop I buy it from, they come in pretty good condition. Yeah, so I'm not sure how many people have heard of KEEL. This is the only album. I think I've heard other albums as well, and I would slowly pick up more because I think this band is really good. But you know, sort of if you like, you know, all those classic 80s hard rock and hair metal bands, you know, like Danger Danger, Y&T, Skid Row, you know, yeah, really good stuff. So that's KEEL with The Final Frontier. All right, now, as you can imagine, we're doing the letter K, so the next 4 albums I'm going to talk about are KISS albums. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I've described all of these albums in detail, you know, when I did an actual KISS ranking, when I was showing my CD collection of KISS. So I'm really going to brush over these quickly. I'm not going to mention them in too much detail, but what I will do is link my KISS ranking video, 70s KISS ranking, because we're going through 70s albums today, some of them. Yeah, so you can look at that if you want more detail on the music, but like I said, this is just a show and tell and a brief overview of each album, and these are just in chronological order, not ranked order, because the ranking is in the CD version. So of course, up first, I have this extremely beaten up copy of KISS's debut album, self-titled KISS. I mean, just look at this, it's an embarrassment. It's beaten up. See, the cover is split. I bought this at a market in Bangkok and I paid way too much, you know, considering the quality and condition, but I just wanted this album on vinyl because the rawness, the raw production really suits the vinyl format. But yeah, this the amount I paid was criminal for this actually, because yeah, I really should have been a lot less. But yes, classic debut from the band KISS, and yeah, this has got some of my favorite KISS songs on there. It's got all the classics, well, a lot of classics like Strutter, Nothing to Lose, Firehouse, what else? Deuce, which is one of my favorite songs. Also Black Diamond, probably my favorite song on the album, the one where Peter sings lead vocals. But yeah, called Gin, how could I forget, the song written by Ace and sung by Gene. But this has got just classic after classic. I think there's no really bad songs on this album. What I will say, I think this version, this is the original one, so it doesn't have the insert of Kiss in Time, which is like a kind of cheesy cover they did, so that doesn't really matter. But yeah, great album. Like I said in the ranking, the only criticism I have of this album is that the production sounds a bit flat and languid and pedestrian and slow. So I think if it was properly produced and sounded more energetic, it would be even better. But having said that, this is the format of the album, which we all know, and yeah, it's just a classic. So if you watched my ranking, you'll know that I hold this album in high regard. But yeah, you probably all know this one. So that's KISS with their self-titled debut. All right, so coming up next in chronological order, we have KISS with Hotter Than Hell. First of all, since this is a show and tell, and I'm not talking so much about music, I have to say this is one of my favorite album covers because it's just so iconic and colorful, and it's got that Japanese kabuki theme, which their makeup was based on anyway. But you know, you can see here with the writing and everything. So this was, and it's got their names translated into Japanese there. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely classic album, and I really like the cover. And you know, like, even though I did a ranking of these albums, I did mention that I don't think KISS really has a bad album, apart from maybe some, like, but well after the 80s. I think like there was like Psycho Circus didn't grab me much, but like all of the 70s ones, even the ones that come towards the bottom of the list are really good. This one is no exception. What I like about this one is the production is pretty shitty, and it sounds like all of the music is being churned through a grinder or something. It's just an awful sound, but having said that, it's also really raw, and it suits the rockiness and the 70s flavor of this album, so I really like that. And it does have a lot of really good songs. Gene sang the majority of songs on this actually. I think that's just coincidence. Like, there are some songs sung by Paul and Peter as well, but like, again, it has some classics on here, like Got to Choose, Parasite, Going Blind. I never got into that song much, but a lot of people like it. Of course, the title track, Hotter Than Hell, Let Me Go, Rock and Roll, which is a nice, like, sort of upbeat one with a nod to earlier 50s rock and roll maybe. All the Way, a very underrated track, and I really like just, that has such a distinctly 70s flavor, especially that raw, blistering guitar solo from Ace in it. So I love, rest in peace, Ace, by the way. I can't believe, I think this is the first time I've talked about Kiss since Ace's passing. That's very sad news, but rest in peace, Ace, absolute legend. And his solo on that incredibly underrated song is awesome. Then, yeah, Watching You is sort of like a deep cut for the 70s, but a good one. And then, yeah, Coming Home is a good song sung by Paul, and then two songs sung by Peter, Mainline and Strange Ways. So Peter sang Strange Ways. That's probably the heaviest and darkest song on the album, and that was written by Ace, but at the time when he was too shy to sing. So Peter, of course, did a fantastic job. So really cool stuff. And I'll just show you the inside. I bought this one in, so this one, the debut I bought in Thailand at a market. This one I bought in Australia. So it had like a proper record shop, so it came in a slightly better condition. Plain black vinyl, of course, with the Casablanca Records logo. That was the band's original record label for the first few albums. Yep, so Hotter Than Hell. I will say this, I don't want to give too much away about my ranking, but Hotter Than Hell does not rate extremely high in my 70s Kiss albums ranking, but having said that, all 70s Kiss albums are at the very least good, so I still really enjoy this one, and I love the raw production, so Kiss, Hotter Than Hell. Okay, coming up next in the chronology, we have Kiss with Dress to Kill. And again, I bought this one at a market in Thailand, so the condition is not the best, but it's ultimately the music that counts, and these records still play well. You know, they're not scratched or anything, but the covers are just a bit beaten up. So this was the final album that the band recorded before their breakthrough live album, Alive, which really made them explode. But this is one of my favorite 70s Kiss albums because it's, unlike the debut, this one is full of energy. It's a lot faster. There's still diversity in the tempos and everything, but it's just very upbeat and full of energy. And the band is just, I don't want to sound cliche, but firing on all cylinders. They're hungry, you know, like with their energy and their performance of the songs. And there's just some really classic, catchy songs. And again, a very raw production on this one. And like, I really like a lot of the, excuse me, see, still recovering. A lot of the deep cuts on this album that don't get talked about, like Room Service, a song sung by Paul, just very upbeat and energetic. Classic, I really like that one. And the next two by Gene, Two Timer and Ladies in Waiting. The band never performed those songs, you know, for ages, for decades after this album came out, but I really like those, especially Ladies in Waiting, that's a good song. Getaway, an upbeat song sung by Peter, again written by Ace. Rock Bottom is one of my favorite 70s Kiss songs of all time, like, you know, starting with that dual acoustic guitar solo from Ace and Paul, and then it just launches into this rocking beat, which is so heavy, like this big breakdown, and it's so catchy and upbeat. I just love it. And really good guitar solos in that song. So I would say Rock Bottom is one of my favorite 70s Kiss songs. Then you also have On Side 2, Come On and Love Me, a classic Stanley song. And even some of these songs, which I didn't like so much at first back in the day, have grown on me a lot, like Anything for My Baby and She, because they're very catchy. And yeah, Love Her All I Can, that's another good one, like a sort of raw rocking track. And the album concludes with Rock and Roll All Night, probably the band's most famous song of all time. Even though you may have heard me say, ironically, I don't think much of that song, Rock and Roll All Night. Is that Kiss blasphemy? Probably, but it's all right, that song, and I think it was the first song I ever heard by them, and it was funny because that's when I didn't get a good first impression of Kiss. What am I saying? But yes, it's true. But I know a lot of people like that song, and I do like this version because it's the original studio version, unlike the live version, which later became popular with the guitar solo. But I really like the raw vocals in this studio version of Rock and Roll All Night, and they got a whole load of people to sing. You really hear Peter's raspy vocals, as well as like they got all these other people like Lydia, Chris, and you know, hangers-on of the band, you know, just joining in the studio. So that's kind of cool. Very iconic cover art here, and the negatives, and Does this one come with an insert? No, I think it's just a beaten up cover, yeah. Okay, so again, I won't take this out. Plain black vinyl with the Casablanca Records covers. No inner sheet, because I bought it. I bought this one at a flea market over here, so yeah, it doesn't come with any inserts or anything. So some of you may be asking, will I replace these one day? Yeah, maybe. Like, I'm not in an urgent rush. They still play fine, and I just like the sort of raw grittiness of the beaten up copies. But it's ultimately, if the vinyl works, that's the main thing. But that Kiss debut definitely needs a replacement. But yeah, another really good raw Kiss album. This is Dressed to Kill. Okay, and one more vinyl to talk about today, guys. And so, continuing in chronological order, the last album I'm going to talk about today is Kiss with Rock and Roll Over. First of all, absolutely classic, iconic, colourful cover art. And if you've watched my ranking of 70s Kiss albums, you'll know that I hold this one in very high regard as well. Hint, hint, but maybe not stating the obvious. But yeah, this version I actually bought in Australia as well. It's an Australian first pressing, and the condition was G+++, so very good. So it's not perfect, but it plays perfectly. And yeah, this was the first album that the band released. No, sorry. So the band released Alive, the live album which made them break through. Then they released the iconic Destroyer, which was sort of saw the band opening up to a wider audience, you know, with choirs and love songs and ballads and all sorts of things that you wouldn't expect of Kiss as a raw rock band. But then on this album, following Destroyer, they decided to go back to their raw rock and roll roots. And that's why I love this one so much. Like, yeah, I think a lot of their original fans thought they had sold out or something after Destroyer, which, I mean, you know, you should never criticize a band like that, I don't think. I think to open up to a wider audience, fair enough. But anyway, this is more the stuff that I like. Stylistically, I like the raw rock and roll stuff, and it's absolutely awesome. So the title implies what you find in there. What I like about this album is it's just so catchy. Like, every single song is extremely memorable. It stands out pretty much, I would say. Like, oh yeah, here we go. So we've got, except it does that stupid vinyl thing of old where, you know, in the olden days, they used to mix up the song titles, not put them in chronological order. But as it happens, because I'm a total Kiss fan, I know the correct order of this album. So like, it starts off with I Want You, absolutely fantastic song. And then a deeper cut, Take Me, but that's got a very upbeat, raw 70s rock and roll sound, which I really like. Calling Dr. Love, yes, everyone's heard it a million times, including me, but it's got a fantastic riff, and it is an iconic Kiss song, especially with those female backing vocals, which give it that really 70s flavor once again. So what's after Calling Dr. Love? Testing myself here. Oh, Ladies Room, which is a great song. Yeah, very catchy and very 70s again. And I really like the line where Gene says, "You're such a jewel in the rough." Like, when you see him performing, he's pointing, and it's just classic. Come on and show me your stuff. Yeah. And Baby Driver, which is one of the songs sung by Peter on lead vocals, and that really showcases his raspy Catman vocals to full effect. And it's a hard rock song, not a ballad, which is, you know, on the previous album he had done Beth, but like on this one he's just singing a raw rocker, and it's absolutely awesome. Then we go over to side 2. The first track of side 2 is my favorite song from this album, and that is Love 'Em, Leave 'Em, because it's got such an incredibly catchy riff and chorus and awesome guitar solos. Yeah, that's why I've always loved that song. And especially just that riff, it is so hypnotic and it sticks in your head and you can't help but sing along. So Love 'Em, Leave 'Em is really good. And then what do we have after that? Mr. Speed, which is another song, again, very 70s, especially with the backing vocals. You can imagine yourself like at a 70s party or something. That's how I imagine it. What else do we have? See You in Your Dreams, very catchy chorus, and again, a very 70s flavor. And I don't think I've left anything out here. Yeah, and then it concludes with Makin' Love, which is, it's like a very sort of upbeat version of Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love. Like, the riff is very similar, but yeah, really good song by Paul. So yeah, absolutely love this album. There are no songs where I think, oh, this is boring. Even the ones where I occasionally go, oh, they're not my favorites. Whenever it's playing, I'm always singing along because they're just really catchy songs. So yeah, so there's the cover. And Even though I bought this one in Australia, no, it didn't come with anything. So again, plain black vinyl in very good condition with the Casablanca Records logo. Yeah. So yes, like I said, I don't want to give too much away in this video, and I also don't want to repeat myself too much, because in that 70s Kiss ranking video, which I will link in the description, I go into a lot of detail about these albums. So believe it or not, for me, 5 albums in 20 minutes is not a lot of detail, but if you want a deeper dive into these albums, go and check out my 70s Kiss ranking. But this is the last one I'm showing you today, because I'm only showing 5 at a time. This is Kiss with Rock and Roll Over from 1976. So of course, there were other albums by Kiss in the 70s, but I'm limiting each video to 5. So for today's edition of Hard Rock Heavy Metal Vinyl, it's just 1 KEEL and 4 Kiss albums. So that's all I have to say. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know for some of you, this is not what you really like. I know I'm sort of generally on my own as a Kiss fan, like with this YouTube extreme metal community, most people don't like Kiss, although some guys do. You know, I like Johnny Mac, Marty, and George Gatter. You know, so there are people out there, but you know, it's a minority. But if extreme metal is more your thing, or other types of metal, don't worry, that's coming up in subsequent videos. So yeah, like I said, this was a bit of a show and tell today, and just to keep the channel going, let you know that I'm still here. Sorry if my energy levels have been lacking, or I've been a bit out of whack. That's because I'm still recovering from this cold, but for what it's worth, doing this video has made me feel a little bit more energetic, so that's cool. I enjoy making them. All right, so that's it for today, guys. I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas, and continue to enjoy the rest of your Christmas New Year break. Have an awesome New Year. Stay safe. You know, party, enjoy yourselves, but don't go overboard. And yeah, I'll probably be back, well, not probably, the next video that I plan to make will definitely be in the new year, and that's going back. I'm not sure what's next. I think I'm either going to do a Marduk ranking or top 20 death metal albums. So if there's anything you would like to see out of those two, one you prefer to see, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, if no one says anything, I'll just leave it up to myself. But anyway, I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Merry Christmas. You know, posthumously, and Happy New Year in advance. Oh God, I need to get some more rest. Happy New Year in advance, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.